Hey guys, hope you're doing well. This video is going to be about the lunar eclipse in Virgo, along with the Mercury retrograde in Aries, along with the Venus retrograde as well. That's in Aries. Before we get into the signs, I want to go over some of the details of this. So Venus already went retrograde, and that was on March 1st. That is going to be until April 12th, and it's between 10 to 11 degrees of Aries, and it will retrograde back into about 24 degrees of Pisces, I believe. Then Mercury will go retrograde on March 14th, which is literally the same day of the lunar eclipse in Virgo, which is crazy because it's a combination of the North Node and the South Node, but it's like they're switching out because this is involving Venus, which was a part of the last axis. Because remember, the South Node was in Libra last time. The North Node was in Aries. And Libra and Taurus rule over Venus. And this is a retrograde in Venus between Aries and Pisces. Then you have Mercury put in the mix. Mercury is ruled by Virgo, which is ruled, Mercury is ruled by Virgo, which is the South Node right now. And then we have a lunar eclipse in Virgo. So it's crazy how fitting all of it is. But anywho, so the Mercury retrograde is going to be from March 14th to April 7th. And that is from 9 to 10 degrees of Aries as well. Venus retrograde in the sign of Aries is bringing back a lot of our past situationships, if you will. Because usually Venus involves relationships. Not all romantic, okay? Some of them just dynamics, relationship dynamics and stuff, which is people in general. So themes of that, then self-worth, finances, are going to be occurring or butting heads, more like, with the sign of Aries, which represents the self-image, the identity, the ego, the personal expression. So throughout this process, it is creating a period of introspection and reassessment in all these areas. Bringing back old friends, unresolved situations, exes, all those lovely things are going to come to the surface. But we need to always be mindful during this period of time because retrograde season is all about going within and reflecting and not making any huge decisions, not being hasty, not being impulsive. But since it's in Aries, it might be a little more difficult to keep ourselves from the impulsivity. But that will be really testing our will, right? Our willpower. You can look at it that way. With Mercury in the mix, it's about communication scuffles and blockages, stagnation, misunderstandings of all kinds, and plans being ruined or being delayed, things getting in the way. Those lovely themes. When you mix love and communication or relationships, partnerships, other people with communication, that's retrograde and out of whack, well, you got some delusions that can happen, some things that aren't seen clearly because of those misunderstandings. Yes, there could be some mind games and manipulation involved as well. So just be on the lookout for that within not only others, but also within yourself. I already mentioned communication barriers and past issues. So overall, it's a major turning point for everybody. No one is left out of this. So, yeah, and then we're going to have a solar eclipse in Aries to really close out the previous axis, nodal axis, on the 28th of March. But since it's going to be conjunct Mercury retrograde, it's still not going to be like fully closing things out. It's still going to be delays and patience and trying to be patient and waiting. So now let's get into the signs. Okay, so we're going to start with Aries. Aries, you have this Mercury and Venus retrograde going back and forth between your 12th and your first house. Then the lunar eclipse in Virgo is in your 6th house. So the themes here overall is around your health and your work life, your routines as well. Perhaps you feel like you've been really overworking yourself lately. You've been pushing yourself a bit too much, okay? Causing you to feel that burnout. Well, this is tied to your subconscious in the 12th, which is really going to be worked out a lot over the next 18 months with the North Node in Pisces there. So whatever you feel that is hidden, that you have a harder time releasing, or perhaps you haven't been getting good sleep because you're feeling stressed out constantly on a day-to-day basis, with the South Node in Virgo, it's asking you to learn how to say no, learn how to balance out your needs with the needs of others, okay? Because if you don't, that can really impact your health, right? And there could be some emotional stuff brewing within you because it's hard to release and it's hard to reach since it's in the 12th house. It has this effect of, if you're not paying attention to balancing yourself out and not overworking, if you keep pushing yourself too far and not paying attention to the signals your body's telling you, then that can lead to some self-sabotaging tendencies, which we do not want, right? So having the epiphany to the way that you've been overworking yourself, allowing yourself to not be a perfectionist when it comes to, I need to make sure everything is done and I got to take on all the responsibilities. It's time to stop doing that, because eventually, there could be some big consequences with that. So take care of your mental well-being, allow yourself to really relax and release, give yourself the escapes that you need, like a retreat somewhere, because the 12th house, having the North Node there, 12th house is like travels as well. Like you can travel to long distance places, that you like a spa retreat to reset yourself. So that's what I would really say for you. And with this, with the Mercury and Venus retrograde, in regards to that, when it comes to the 12th and the 1st, it is a combo of the end and the beginning, right? It's the house of self, I am, and the house of I dream. Your spiritual life with the awareness of yourself. So how can you reflect on both of those parts within you? How do you balance those things? What needs to be healed? What needs to be closed out? What is being hidden from you? What is the program that you're telling yourself? And how does it affect the way that you interact with others, how you present yourself to the world? Those are the major themes there. For Taurus, you guys have the lunar eclipse in your 5th house of creativity, pleasure, romance, fun, all that good stuff. So when you have a full moon eclipse there, it's like letting go of your perfectionism tendencies when it comes to how you create. Just allow yourself to be free and have fun You don't have to make things perfect, right? And it's like there's, what do they say in art? It's like there's no such thing as bad art. Um, it's just really based off our perception of it. It's the process. It is the experience. It is the action that we take. So that's what it's really asking for you to reset with that lunar eclipse there. Then with Mercury and Venus retrograde between your 11th and your 12th, with the focal point really being in the 11th house, this is asking you to review things that come to the house of what you aspire to be and how that relates to your dreams. Okay. So, for example, you might be asking yourself, do you really align with this group of friends that you have right now? What are your goals, your aspirations? Is it really aligned to your dreams? Or is it something that you are just kind of going along with just for the sake of going along with? So that's what you're really reviewing when it comes to those retrogrades there. There could be some miscommunications when it comes to friends. Or for example, if you have a job that has to work in groups, right? Like you guys have to collaborate a lot for work. There could be some misunderstandings there. Maybe if you don't have like similar values in things, that could really trigger some of your subconscious parts there. That could create a rift between your connections. So really it's going to be about you learning and reflecting on who you really want to surround yourself with and who's going to help you aspire to your dreams. That could involve something to do with your creativity. As long as you're not being a perfectionist about it, you can create that balance there. So for Geminis, you guys have this lunar eclipse in your 4th house. So that is about, and with Mercury and Venus retrograding between the 10th and the 11th for you, this speaks about balancing your work life, your home life. But it's like a new start within your home foundations. What do you need to let go of? Like, what perfectionist tendencies do you need to drop in order to create more harmony in your home life? This could be connected to your 10th house, right? Because the North Node is in the 10th house for you right now. And since we have these retrogrades happening between the 10th and 11th house for you, it's about how you nurture and how you achieve. But the retrograde is between how you achieve and how you aspire to achieve those dreams, those career moves that you're wanting to make. But there could be that miscommunication there, or some scuffle between your home life and your work life. Jupiter is in your sign right now, Gemini. You have to keep that in mind, okay? Jupiter unfortunately doesn't do as well in Gemini because Gemini is already very scattered, not scattered, but very, very quick, very mercurial, but because it's already naturally quick, having Jupiter there can really just expand that back and forth, causing waves of chaos, right? And so you're just constantly in motion. You have all this drive, but almost to a fault maybe at times. And so it's just very important to make sure you're balancing those things out and then being careful not to get down on yourself, having empathy for not only yourself, but for others as well, just being understanding overall through communication. So, plus the 11th house is about communication anyways. And then what groups, what networks are you mingling with? Are they the right ones that can help you get to the point that you need? And is your family on board with that? All those kinds of things, right? Making sure you balance out your outer world with your inner world. All right, so for Cancers, you guys, you're going to have this lunar eclipse in your third house. So something's changing in regards to your community, your close home, your neighborhood, the way you communicate with others as well. Since this North Node, and of course, between the Mercury and Venus retrograde going 9th to 10th, 10th to 9th, it's about something maybe related to moving. Maybe a good portion of you are relocating somewhere. So then this lunar eclipse is kind of like letting go of that old phase, that old chapter in your life, and going to new things. But perhaps you're in the process. If it's not moves, then you could also be changing the way you think of things, right? How you view and explore things with the 3rd and the 9th here. You want to learn something new. And in order to really learn something new, you have to venture out, right? How do you achieve that though? And that's where the 9th and the 10th, having the retrogrades happening there, you're kind of going back and forth from now until April to figure that out. How can you achieve that? What areas are you wanting to explore? Do you want to go back to school? Well, we got to figure out how we're going to do that. What subjects you want to learn more about. But yeah, like I said, if it's regarding an actual move, perhaps it's something that is related to your work, right? You're moving to a different location because of a job change, but you're trying to make a decision as to whether you want to do that or not. So it's that phase of reassessing what you want to do in regards to that. So those are the main themes for you. With the North Node, though, being in your 9th house for the next 18 months, it really is focused on your higher education, your knowledge, philosophy of life. So definitely open up your ability to explore and learn more, because that can really change your perception and how you think and how you learn. And that's where the South Node is, in your 3rd. And then Leo, you guys have the lunar eclipse in your 2nd house. So there is a closing to a chapter in your life that has a connection to your money or possessions, and your old beliefs, like how your self-worth, right? It's connected to your 8th house. You have the retrogrades happening from 8th and 9th. Going back into your 8th, this is regarding your beliefs. With the 9th house, how you explore, what do you believe in when it comes to death and rebirth, situations that have happened in the past. What are you still holding on to? Letting go of old beliefs to how you feel about yourself. If you don't have self-worth, if you don't believe that you're worthy to have things in life, both tangible and intangible, you need to close that chapter out, right? Because then that's also connected to your shared resources and all that kind of stuff. The North Node is focusing on your 8th house for the next 18 months. So you're going to be experiencing some kind of regeneration where it comes to some traumas and stuff that you've been holding on ever since 2006 or 2007, because that's when the last North Node axis in Pisces and Virgo was. And so there's something connected to that But right now with the retrogrades of the 8th and the 9th, it's asking you, how do your beliefs affect the way that you're able to transform? They always call the 8th house the house of shadows. It is where we do shadow work. So the 12th house is also a shadow house, but you don't know what's going on. It's more like unconscious. You know, it's hidden from you, which is actually harder, but you know, it's not as heavy feeling. So it's kind of like in your dreams, or it'll affect you in subtle ways. 8th house is more like you're being surrounded by spirits and you feel them and you see them. And I'm not even kidding. Okay. Having awareness of others and your connection to them, and how there is an exchange. It's an energetic exchange. There is such thing as cords. Cords are very real. Energetic cords are real. And that's what you realize and notice more than ever when you have things heavily in your 8th, is that karmic ties, karmic cords are extremely real. And so it's asking you to explore your higher self, right? And conquer your demons, do your shadow work. It's scary, but do it. And Virgo. So you have this lunar eclipse in your first house, your house of self. There's something changing to your identity in some way. A new chapter is opening up, and you're letting go of an old part of yourself. And this is tied to your relationships to others, and also the cords that you share with them, because this is between the first house with that lunar eclipse, and the retrograde of Venus and Mercury is between your 7th and 8th house until the end of April. So some change that is happening in this next chapter that relates to others, and either letting go of old relationships, old past traumas, or renewing some things and changing the dynamics, going through therapy, doing the work, putting in efforts to save something that is important to you, or knowing when to close it out when it's met its end. But being careful about it and not making any sudden decisions throughout this retrograde process, because it's really a time to reflect on all those things, not to make any decisions yet. And the North Node is in your 7th house for the next 18 months in Pisces. That's all about your awareness of others. So when you have awareness of others, you are, with the South Node in your first, it doesn't mean that you're putting yourself on the back burner by any means. No, absolutely not. What it's really about is changing the way you relate to others, right? In a balanced way. How do you balance out your independence with connection? How do you share your more intimate side with others? How are you able to open yourself without fear? But of course, not going off the handle and just offering yourself to anybody. No, we don't ever do that, okay? But just how do you do it in a way to where it brings more beauty into your life, more connection into your life. And Libra, you guys have this lunar eclipse in your 12th house. The 12th house of the unseen, the hidden, the unconscious. Your dreams can really speak to you about certain shifts that are happening. There's a need to release something that is sabotaging to you, connected to your 6th house. Because the 6th house is where the North Node is for the next 18 months. And yes, it is the house of service, but it's also the house of your health, your well-being, self-improvement. Now, with the Mercury and Venus retrograde going between the 6th and the 7th, there's something here that's related to your relationships to other people that are possibly having an impact on your health. So what is it in the 12th house that needs to be reworked, redone? Maybe you can do some hypnotherapy. Anything related to therapy will be very good. Releasing, expressing, venting. I would say with this, it's like analyzing your dreams. It's trying to connect to your spiritual side, your spiritual self, to get rid of blockages that are related to how you view partnerships. And are you getting what you need in your partnerships that you're in currently? Or are there some things that you need to rework or heal in regards to other people that are impacting you on a subconscious level? Okay, so for Scorpio, you guys have this lunar eclipse in your 11th house of your friends, groups, goals, and aspirations. And then you have the North Node in Pisces that's in your 5th house. So the themes for the next 18 months is around fun, creativity, hobbies, how you express yourself, romance, dating, children, taking risks, doing all those fun things. So that's more of a fun period in life, right? If anything, you guys probably have the most uplifting phase coming up for you compared to a lot of other people. Well, Sagittarius also has a good one as well. But you guys have been going through the ringer, so it's well deserved. And the Mercury and Venus retrograde is between your 6th house and your 5th house. So it's like with this South Node in the 11th, what old aspirations are you still holding on to that need to be released? Right? Are there any old projects that no longer align with you anymore? With the 6th and 5th having these retrogrades, you're going through a time that reassesses all of that, like your relationships and your work, right? Your routines. So perhaps you feel like you can't really have fun. Like it's harder to have fun and be creative because either there's something happening within your routines when it comes to your friends, or just your everyday routines are kind of like stagnant or something. Like it's not flowing, or something keeps kind of getting in the way. Or if it's with romance, or maybe there's some miscommunications with people you're dating, and so it's like you're not even having fun with it anymore. Or maybe some old flames are wanting to reconnect with you, but it's impacting the way that you're able to go throughout your day-to-days, perhaps. But the lunar eclipse in your 11th, it's really about thinking on what groups that you no longer really align with and what you can move on from. What friends do you need to drop, that aren't really helping you or don't really help to fuel your creativity and aren't good for your routines. Yeah, just taking care of your health overall, being careful of what you eat, focusing on your wellness and all that good stuff. And for Sagittarius rising, you guys have the lunar eclipse in your 10th house. This eclipse could bring an emotional release when it comes to perfectionism in your reputation, like not being such a stickler to meet every goal in your career, like just being more easier on yourself, right? Or maybe dropping, like this could even be a time where you feel like, okay, this is what you used to want to strive for as a career, or some kind of what you wanted to achieve in the past no longer is something that you're interested in anymore. So you're switching up your goals in some way on what you want to do. And then you have the Mercury and Venus retrograde going between your fifth and your fourth and your fifth house. So to me, it's like, how do you balance out? Well, you know, the North Node is in your fourth. So all of this is really going to tie to your security. Like, what makes you feel secure and stable. So in regards to like romance, creativity, and then your home and your roots and all that kind of stuff, it's like, how do you nurture yourself? How do you serve yourself in a way so that you can reach your goals, your achievements, and let go of maybe something old that no longer serves you, right? That has run its course. With the South Node and lunar eclipse in the 10th, it's like kind of taking your power back so that you can revamp your status in some way. But I would also say this too, since the Mercury and Venus retrograde are going back and forth between the fourth and the fifth, it's like not making any hasty decisions on where you like, and it also could be referring to a home. Like maybe you're trying to make a decision as to where you want to hunker down to, like where you want to live, you want to move somewhere, right? And maybe it's involving like a creative project, or maybe it's involving a romantic partner that you're wanting to seek a home with. But yeah, letting go of an old like goal of some kind to achieve that. Just keep in mind though that there is the miscommunication there in some way. Perhaps there's some rift between like your family and the person of interest in your life, or perhaps there's some blockage there in a way, but it will work itself out. It's just a time of introspection until the end of April before you'll have more clarity to solidify things. But the main focal point here is that you have the North Node in your fourth. So it really is about figuring out where you feel most at home. Whew, it is hot. I'm drinking this, it's lemon hibiscus. Hydrator, electrolytes. Well, pretty good. When you're talking so much, it's like your mouth gets so dry, and I definitely talk a lot. All right, so now we're on to Capricorn. Capricorn, you guys have this lunar eclipse in your ninth house. So something that is closing out and starting anew. Maybe letting go of old beliefs, right? So, I mean, we're all kind of going through we're all relearning things and changing our beliefs in some way. But for you in particular, with the South Node here, it's like a statement, because the focal point is about your immediate environment right now. That's where the North Node is. And that's also where Mercury and Venus retrograde are right now until the end of April, between your fourth and your third. So something in regards to the connections you have at home with your family, with the people close to you, is being reworked here. There could be a lot of misunderstandings. Yeah, it's like you're having to rework the way you are communicating with family, friends, people in your neighborhood, so that you can have more of a you can enjoy more of your experience that's close to home, which that's the most important thing. I mean, the place that you're at the most, you want to have good energy. Otherwise, I mean, you're there all the time. If it was bad, then that's horrible. So it's about really making sure to focus on how things are at home. Are they running well? Are things aligned? Are they on good terms with your relationship to your friends, your neighbors, your family? Maybe there's a new way to explore your horizons, but more so tied to your close roots, your inner world, and the things around you. Being more present and in the moment is actually what comes to my mind here. Because when you are being fully present and living in the moment, you're not worried about, okay, this trip that I'm going to go on, because you have to travel, and then that takes time, right? Till you get to that point. It's far away. It's something that's down the line. But whereas the third and fourth is about you're close to home, it's right here, right now. What is happening in this very moment in time in my tangible reality? And so that's where that focus is for you, I believe. But just keep in mind that there could be some misunderstandings. There could be some car issues as well, since Mercury and Venus retrograde are happening in third. But with the fourth, it's like, there's some things here that, yeah. Communication. Communication can definitely be a difficult one. All right, so for Aquarius rising, you guys have this lunar eclipse in your 8th house. So with the south node being in your 8th house, in a way, it actually kind of helps you to release the things that are built up in your 8th. It helps you to release any baggage or traumas. And when you're clearing that at the same time, you're also clearing out the clutter in your tangible world, right? But perhaps the clutter in your house is a little bit, maybe there's connection to family members. This is going to be a retrograde of Venus and Mercury between the 3rd and the 2nd house. The 3rd house does involve your siblings. So maybe you guys are going over inheritances in order to let go of things. Not everything is just for you to make a decision of. It's like, if you're deciding to donate a lot of stuff, usually it involves other people's things, and you're going to have to ask their permission if they're okay with you getting rid of it, right? So stuff along those lines. Also with fine-tuning your skills as well. Organizing yourself a lot more, actually. So that's the major thing here for the next 18 months, is just reorganizing things. But reorganizing things that are also tied to how you are revamping your appearance and your outward personality, since Pluto is there in your 1st house. I would say, though, between now and until the end of April, of course, maybe make a list of all the things that you're wanting to do. Take note of all the items that you're wanting to get rid of. If it's tied to somebody else, just make sure that you guys can work together in some way to clear out the closet. Literally, whoever's closet it is. It could be a time where you're letting go of something that you lost from the past. As you're going through items and sifting through things and reorganizing, it's going to bring up all those, reflective moments. It'll also be a time where you can reconnect with people about those experiences. But yeah, just keep in mind of still the communication barrier can be there. You could have like some old flings from the past that, you know, you grew up with, for example, that come back into your life and make an appearance. A connection to what you have, how what you have connects to how you think, and what you think about also connects to what you have in your life and how you share those things. And then last but not least, Pisces, you guys have this lunar eclipse in your 7th house, Pisces. Yes. So there is a chapter closing out in your partnerships. And it could either be that you are leaving a situation, or it could be that, whether it's physically and literally, or it could be that the way that you perceived someone or other people is changing. Your perception of others is changing. How you relate to others is changing. And because the South Node being there, it's like the first house is where you are in full focus, right? And it's going to be there for 18 months. And it's all about having awareness of yourself and what changes you want to make and how that relates to the dynamics that you have with others. You do have this retrograde of Mercury and Venus between your 2nd house and your 1st house. You know, the items that you keep with you, are they really important? Like, are you really, because they are a part of you, right? But it's not just about that, though. 2nd house is also about self-worth. And so that's connected to your house of yourself, your self-worth, and the awareness of yourself, having awareness of your own self-worth, and knowing that even though it is important for us to have awareness of others, yes, but if we don't have awareness of ourselves first and have awareness of our self-worth first, then it's a lot harder to have a healthy awareness of others, right? So that is what I would say about that there for you guys. But overall, I think Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde for you between your 1st and 2nd, be careful not to invest anything, okay? Especially when it comes to procedures. Now, this goes for everybody. This goes for every single sign. When it comes to retrogrades in general, it's the safest thing to do is just don't make any big decisions. Don't do any major procedures on your face, on your body, your hair, whatever. Investments, forget it. Just don't do it. Keeping an eye on your values and all that kind of stuff. I think that's pretty much it, though, in regards to retrogrades and stuff like that. The basics of it anyway. But yeah, that's all the signs, guys. I got through it. Also, we do have the solar eclipse that's coming up, or the hybrid eclipse, right? That's in Aries. And that's going to be on March 28th. And that is the official closing out of the last North Node and South Node axis when it was in Aries and Libra. So having the hybrid eclipse in Aries is like the finishing line of that one. It's going to be conjunct Mercury retrograde, though, in Aries around that time. So usually, even though new moons and all that kind of stuff, they signal to new beginnings, this is definitely not one of those. It's still going to be delays and decisions. Be careful of overconfidence. I'll make another video about it, but just kind of overall like a heads up about it. And then of course Mars is still in Cancer. Since Aries rules over the planet Mars, you always got to keep an eye as to where it is and what sign it's in. Interestingly enough, this solar eclipse is going to be at 9 degrees. That's the Sabian symbol, 9 degrees, a crystal gazer. So it's the Sagittarian degree. Lots of Jupiter themes, that's for sure. All right, guys, I hope you liked it. Until next time. Oh, and I'm going to do the rest of the Virgo deacons in another video, but I just wanted to make sure and put this out before it was too late.